Yo, hello there. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the mental aspect of the game. This game was played in Master Plus, if anybody wants to know. You can see I'm 0-4, I wasn't mentally doomed this game. I was actually really sane. So, and if I click to the end of the game, I was doing pretty well actually. I was actually doing really well. 650 bounty from a 0-4, so what happened? How do we deal mentally with this type of rough situation? So, in here the game starts, not much happens. Wukong said I can just not leash him, that's totally fine. So I can take some in-lane advantages, of course. It's fine by me. Could banish him, but it's not a big deal. Now in here what happens? Not much. We are CSing, we are poking each other. I'm chipping him, of course. Not much really happens, just poking here and there. He's spacing around my pokes. I get a slow push in, I get more pokes in, right? Not much happens, right? And so in here I get level 2 ganked by Echo. It's really random because he left a tier 2 wave. Now Mazahar pinged it, but he didn't danger ping me, and SS pings don't really click with me. I told him danger ping me, don't SS me. But again, it's not necessarily his mistake, it was rather my mistake for not paying attention to the fact that Echo could rotate on me, so what I should then do before I go this deep in lane, I could ban ward instead of fishing who to blame on. I actually did say Mazar should ban danger ping, but instead of fishing who to flame on, aim to reflect on yourself, because it's not really their job to even ping you. You should track everybody for yourself. Now, sometimes you're gonna be busy with combat, it's true, but you could always be better at sort of tracking the enemy players, all of them. Now, okay, ain't a big deal. Second time I died. Again, in here I died, so whose mistake was it again? In here I get pretty much collapsed on by Jax, Bard and Sejuani, right? I tried to all-in him, but no success. I tried to flash him and soon they gonna collapse on me. Again, I didn't buy control wards, I didn't even use my basic wards because I was so focused on the combat, I almost killed him. Again, I get collapsed on by Sejuani, I didn't use wards, I didn't get any control wards, so it's important to reflect on your mistakes, right? In here I got kinda pissed as well in game. Okay, 3 people collapse on me, but now Echo comes in as well, right? Which was really annoying for me when I saw that Echo appeared. Now it's really important to stay mentally calm even if you are pissed to some degree, because it gonna allow you to later on just get some kills. If you don't tilt, you don't int less, right? You seek for more opportunities on what kind of mistakes they do, or how could you just cooperate with your teammates, so just don't lose it yet. After 11 hours of working, by the way, I got camped really hard. Now in here what happens, I'm 0-2 and Veljax kills me after getting enough value out of the earlier ganks, right? Now in here I pretty much flamethrower him. He forces an all-in, he didn't really manage to because I spaced it quite well, he didn't connect this thing. I could then turn back for an E or a Q, but I didn't. That's something I could then do better. And in here again it was nobody's mistake that I got collapsed on. I played way too aggressively, while Sejuani couldn't really gank mid because he was kinda deep, since it's gankable but not really if Mazhar has his passive on, so it's really dependent on that. Same as bot laners are really behind, so it generally means I'm the most gankable target. Again, our bot laners are quite strong in these skirmishes, so it's a bit difficult for the Bard and Caitlyn to secure this rake. Kai'Sa and Leon are quite strong early on, so one of the likely situations that I gonna get in, sadly she blast conned on me and I get collapsed on and I die again. And it's really important to not start raging because what happened, right? We get collapsed on again. Ain't a big deal, life goes on, right? Now in here we get again collapsed on, because again we don't jungle track the enemy, so it's really important to know one thing. When the enemy jungler sees that you don't use enough wards, that you don't track them, they gonna permacamp you. You like it or not, they gonna sit on your lane until you ward, and in here I get collapsed on again, just because I tried to ward. I tried to even ward the Herald, right? And shit happens, life goes on, right? It's really important to even like learn out of these mistakes. Okay, I get rotated on the second time by Bard. Even Echo was trying to do something, so you're not allowed to have fun. That's how weak side works, right? You don't do much. You just survive, poke here and there, CS, but you don't get action. That's the thing. You just get to watch, you know. And what happens in here? Again, not much, but we are slowly taking advantages. I skipped forward in time. In here it will be a 1 for 1. Maybe if I played it out a teensy bit better, it would be a kill for me. Even though I'm 0-4, I almost managed to kill Jax because I managed to outskill him. So in here I get a flamethrower turn on him. I should ban, before I use my Q, I should ban ult. So I would push out more damage on the Jax. That was a mistake from my part, of course. Then what also happened in here, I flashed away from his basic attack and I tried to turn back on him. I ulted him pretty much, but then he instantly flashes on me. And what happens, I get killed, but it's fine because it's a 1 for 1. And I also cleave the wave and then the wave pushes in slowly. So we can visually see that you should not lose it just because you have a set disadvantage. Because you get camped, because you die, because whatever happens, because remember, it's more so in lower ranks. In higher ranks as well people will do mistakes, but if you're something like silver and you complain about being behind, likely, even if you do mistakes yourself, likely the enemy team will do mistakes as well. Like if you play in silver, bronze, gold, platinum and average ranks, it's really likely people are gonna do insane amount of mistakes which you can capitalize on. Now in here, again, not much happens. I just see him, we get a short raid on each other, I missed my E, which I should not, you're not really allowed to miss it. He has Divine Thunderer, so obviously I can't force into him. And in here, I'm just being calm as possible. Jax sadly got the plant, then he tried to turn on me, he healed himself. Again, sort of a disadvantage I got in here. He got the shield, he got the healing, so I can't really fight him. Sadly what happens, he catches me. I did not really expect that plant. I mean, I didn't even know so far it's Chem Tank Drake. But again, I took so many ganks on me, to the point where Caitlyn should be behind with CS, and well, I guess she's not that behind, but certainly at least she has one level for the advantage, so from XP to some degree she got zoned because Bard ganked me, and also other laners didn't really get camped. So think about it, you're taking some ganks on yourself, but that means Malzahar does not get ganked, for example, and Echo would be a more snowbally champ than Jax, right? So you're sort of taking it for the team. You can also take it for the team by not getting ganked, so that's the ideal. That's the ideal thing to do, but even though you're dying to ganks, you're sort of taking it for the team, right? So it's not really a big issue, you know. Like at least you're saving temp from getting ganked if the enemy jungler chooses to gank you, right? Not much happens. We are 1-5. We just CS up, we scale up. It's really good that I took scaling runes because our scaling is way better. It's way better. So in here, not much happens, we CS a teensy bit. I recall for Drake, of course, I rotate for it because I'm confident soon I will rotate for Drake, I believe, if I'm correct. Something like that. Soon we are rotating to the Drake itself, we are not wasting our ult this time on nothings. We are both rotating for Drakes because we don't have TP, and because even in Master Plus people are perma-fighting over Drakes, even if it's coin flippy or even if you wouldn't win it. Aegis people are fighting quite often over it, it's rarely when people give it up. So in here we both rotate in here the Rumble, right? Me and the Jax. Now what happens in here, I'm just fishing for pokes. I'm throwing even random E's in because you don't know where they are, right? So you can throw in sort of random E's in because you may catch them and you get some poke on them, of course. You could even like Q or something, but even if it misses, give it a try. It doesn't matter, they can't really punish you, at least you get some poke on them, ain't a big deal. I double you off the Drake damage, of course. Now in here Kai'Sa gets collapsed on, but watch out how I will. I sort of want to zone them away and slow down Jax and damage him in a way that they can't access too easily the pit. It's not really the best angle ultimate because apparently I didn't get too much value out of it, but at least I managed to zone Jax. Now arguably maybe it wasn't just needed just because Kai'Sa could disengage anyways, as I see it. Like somehow Kai'Sa managed to disengage in here actually. I don't know how actually she just disengaged. I think she E'd only, right? No, she actually did get stunned, huh? So because I ulted, Jax decided to disengage, right? Maybe because of that, or maybe because he was like really squishy. So again, what happens in here, Wukong is forcing, we are all of us are forcing, we want to get the kills off, of course. Now in here we play it out really patiently. So normally what happens after a Bard passive, Caitlyn sets a trap at the end. So and Sejuani would ult the target. So what happens, I don't allow Kai'Sa to take the portal first, I take it, so I take the Caitlyn trap and the Sejuani ult in my mouth, because I'm very healthier of course, right? And now what happens, we pick up a kill, sadly no second kill opportunity, but it's not a big deal because we get also Drake. This is what happens when they are camping Jax, and our other laners can get really ahead, right? So if you take some ganks on yourself and the enemy top laner is not the win condition, it can be totally fine. It's even better if the gank does not succeed, right? Like, see, you gotta see the positive even in negative events in League in your life, right? So it doesn't really like works that way. Okay, shit happens, shit happens, shit happens. Neither good, neither bad times are not forever lasting, right? Now in here we are slowly getting back in the game, right? Like we can visually see we have some Q damage, 818, 337, MR reduction, which is really good because my E can reduce up to 30% MR, and it's really good for my AP teammates, and my ult sort of gives some level of peel to Kai'Sa from their melee champs, which is again great. We have some degree of damage. We can see that we have some degree of damage even if we are sitting on one item, so again, we are not in a bad spot. We are definitely not. And in here I'm trying to force into this guy, but he ults out and it's okay, I guess. We get his ult. I tried to recollapse on him, but I was too late and he managed to get the wave, and it just kinda sucks, but I think he would just double anyways, and doubling it while he out of it, so it's like whatever, I guess it doesn't matter too much. Now, again, in here, CSing, not much happens. We are rotating down because there is a fight. I proc her passive, but not much happens of course. It's totally okay. I just proc her passive, got a teensy bit of damage on her. Now in here I ulted, but he instantly portaled out because he had tenacity, so I did not watch out to the fact that he had tenacity, and he just instantly got out. Just like sucked, but she just instantly got out. But at least I sort of zoned away Caitlyn and forced her E out. So again, see the gotta see like the positive in the negative. So Caitlyn's E was forced. So what does that mean? Now we can engage on her because she can't escape the Wukong E anymore with her E, right? She has to flash. But even if she flashes, Wukong could catch up with his ult, right? Now what happens? He does catch up with his ult. Kai'Sa collapses on her. Now she does not have her E to escape, right? And what happens? She picks up a kill and the second kill. Did she? Well played on her part. Now, sadly she dies. But again, you gotta see the positive even in negative events. She died. She lost her shutdown to Echo, which is not too dangerous of a champion in this game because we have so much counterplay against him, right? And we also managed to pick him up, so it's not really a big deal. And also, even though Kai'Sa died, we get a Baron, which is again really great. For a long time nothing will happen, so I will just skip. Again, we are just sitting on top lane. We came back in the game. 300 gold bounty already. We have lots of damage on our Q on our ult, right? So you're gonna scale back. Especially if you play a scaling oriented champion, you should not lose your mind over early game disadvantages, because you're gonna scale. Some champions even scale really quick. Now in here I'm not getting Magi, it's more consistent to rush Demonic. It has lots of damage, it's way better than rushing an inconsistent Magi, because if you die you lose all of it, it's not really worth risking anything. Demonic is just way better. Now in here what happens, I'm trying to pull an all-in on him, I can't really because I'm kinda scared. Now in here I'm respecting a little bit more the fact that they could just somehow collapse on me, right? Like they could even like gank me from bushes, so I'm really respective of getting ganked after getting camped so many times, right? Now, I just kinda like defensively position, I aim to shove right, I put them position even more defensively, because you never know how many of them are camping in the bush, but I was like, if they're not here yet, they shouldn't not be here yet. Now, in here, what happens, I TP down because there is a fight, right? There is a fight. Now, sadly, just in the last moment, Jax just cancels my thing, right? Jax just does cancel my teleport. But what happens? My teammates pick up the 2 kills anyways, right? So you're gonna realize, again, see the positive things in negative events. So just because he cancelled my TP, I killed him. So again, it's better sometimes to bump into a rock and fall down instead of falling off a cliff, right? Again, what happens, I force on him, I shove the wave really quick, then I get to dive on this Jax, right? And he jumps in thinking that he can do something. I don't know what was his thought process. He thought he has mana for you. I don't know what. But he tries to force something really badly. I ult him. I didn't W in time, which I should ban. I should ban W this, but it's not a big deal though. It's fine. And now I get this tower. Right, so again, see the positive in negative events, try to not lose it. So lots of people would be, are they tilting, fuming, they won't be concentrated on killing Jax or doing something. Some people would just already lose it, right? And again, like, there's always something positive to look at, right? Even if you lose, you know, like, that's usually one of the most negative events that a league player can actually, it can happen to them. Even those losses can just be educative for you. You can learn out of that, right? So once you fail at something, you can always give it a smarter approach, which generally means that even losing has its own positivity. In fact, always winning just will just inflate your rank, right? And now we're pretty much back in the game. Back completely in the game, perhaps even stronger than Jax, because at this point we got two abilities that deal a lot of damage. We have decent poke, and we have a demonic embrace against the enemy comp that sort of does stack HP. Like 1, 2, 3 of them, they do get some degree of HP, right? Okay, let's see, let's move on. So now we are really back in the game. We also got sold because we got so many early games, since they were camping me on top lane, right? So Drakes are also like the results of me getting camped, right? So again, you can see some positives as well, not only negatives. And as I gave it an optimistic approach, I really came back in the game, right? And so what happens in here, just like fight a little bit, Leona gets caught, we all in, and they just basically die. Like, there's not much to say, right? And in here we are just simply ending, there's not much to say. Game's over. Game's over, and we won. And we won. This is what not perma-FFing does, perma-typing, perma-flaming each other, perma-flaming the enemy laners, not rage quitting, right? Not losing it mentally. It gives you better chances at coming back. And even if you don't come back, it gives you better opportunities to learn, because when someone is fixated on flaming and not learning, then they don't take their lesson from game 1 to game 2, right? That's like an important mindset to have, and see, we managed to actually win. In fact, we had 21k and the enemy Jax had only 11, right? And if I go to the damage chart, we also can see I had 21k, he had 8k, 19, 20, right? 11k, 9k, 9, 12, right? So who's the loser now, Chad? We scaled up and now we do damage, right? Now main takeaways from this video, I already talked about them earlier on. Have a positive mindset, see positive things in negative events, of course. Don't worry about things that are sort of out of your control, right? The least you can. Don't fish who to blame, what to blame on, flame the enemy champions, flame yourself, flame your teammates, whatever. It's waste of time, really. You should not bother with that. Now, also aim to know if your teammates can actually scale into the game, or you. Sometimes FFing is an option in higher ranks, but in lower ranks it's highly unrecommended, just because you got to learn the game. You can't really FF in lower ranks, even if it's FFable. So many games are comebackable, and the other one is that you got to learn how to play mid and late game. So the game doesn't consist of like FFing at 50 and 20 all the time, because you don't know how to play in mid late game, right? You don't even know how to play the game too well. So the more you play, the more you practice your mechanics, right? It's something that's highly unrecommended, actually. Like when I was low, I never FF'd, I ranked up. So some games were probably lost, but it's really rare when you can't come back, so especially with the current comeback mechanics.